Hello and welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. He's back. He's back. My co-host is finally back after a month of I don't know what it was, quietness, silence, but he's back here and we're gonna talk about Arsenal Football Club. He's finally agreed to talk about his club. Don, how are you, man? First of all, I miss you a lot, man. How's everything?
All good, bro. All good. It was a nice little break. I needed it from just in general, from not necessarily from the pod, but just needed a little bit of a break from like take a holiday,
Yeah.
just chill out a little bit. I'm still in the middle of my holidays, but I feel like it's important that I show my face and so that people don't think that I just ran away. I have to let them know that I'm around. So and,
Yeah.
and it's a good time to just bring up a little bit about Arsenal. Things are not looking good, and we'll kind of try and divulge into what's really going on. It's kind of easy to blame the manager, but we'll kind of get into it and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the coincidence with your break is that Arsenal haven't won a game since you've left, so that's one big coincidence. But yeah, I mean, since that game at Old Trafford, they haven't won a game. They drew one against Southampton, drew against Leeds, but then they've lost all the other games. Some very surprising losses to Burnley, Wolves. So your initial thoughts on these losses and the style of play, because you're an Arsenal supporter since the invincible days. So not only the results, the style must be getting to you as well.
Absolutely. So there's a few things that's happening with Arsenal Football Club right now. First and foremost, everyone, like, I mean, of course, the manager gets the brunt of everything that goes wrong with the club, because that is his responsibility. Getting the results is Mikel Arteta's responsibility. There's no doubt about that. And Mikel Arteta, from his high standards that he set in his first kind of half season that he took over, he won the FA Cup and everything. And we always discuss that it could paper some of the issues that have crept up in Arsenal Football Club over the years. Unfortunately, for the past 4 or 5 years, Arsenal Football Club has become very mediocre. In terms of a lot of things, right? In terms of their recruitment, they've been poor. In terms of the players' mentality, they've been poor. In terms of like a lot of things have just not gone in Arsenal's favor. Arsenal Football Club is become a little bit of a club where everyone takes it a little bit easy. There's not a lot of competition. There's like you just feel like the players go over there for a holiday. They don't have the kind of stringent kind of trainings that you probably see someone like a Liverpool do, or like let's say like a Chelsea do. These guys have been doing very strong training, and they know the plan. They know everything that's up. Mikel Arteta has unfortunately started to show a pretty significant decline, and a little bit. I'm not taking any criticism away from him. He is definitely to blame for a lot of things that are going wrong in this club. But my problem is that he's not only at fault, right? The fault starts right from the top. The problem is the owners give no shits about this club. There's absolutely nothing that comes from Stan and Josh Kroenke. We hardly ever see them. We really never hear about them. There's literally nothing that goes on from them. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how to manage a club, and they just base it off of so I don't even know what they base it off of. The problem starts from over there, because if you notice that we have a big problem with recruitment. We have a big problem with medical issues. There's a lot that goes on that's terrible. Like let's talk about Sven Millicent, right? He comes from Dortmund. He comes with very, very high regard. He stays in Arsenal for 8 months, and he realizes that the place is a mess. He leaves and he goes to Stuttgart, and he's doing an incredible job at Stuttgart. So there is a lag. There's a fundamental issue in the backroom stuff. There's a fundamental issue in the way the club is being run. So it's very easy to blame Arteta, but Arteta is not the only one at fault. Lastly, what I think is the players have to take the blame. These players are lazy. They are very, very lazy. You see the likes of David Luiz. He'll play a few good games, and then suddenly you see him completely go away. You see stupid things like Xhaka does. These kind of things are completely unacceptable. Like Xhaka, every 3 or 4 games he plays well, he'll suddenly disappear. Nicolas Pepe, he'll have a few good games, and then he suddenly disappear. Hector Bellerin, these guys, there is something lacking in these players. These players are average players. Unfortunately, they're not being there's a very high standard that you expect from Arsenal Football Club, and that is not being set. So it's very easy to blame Arteta, but I think that there's a lot more issues than just Arteta's fault, and that is what is going on with this club. It's just unfortunate that and I want to always come back to Arsene Wenger. He was hiding a lot of these things. he was able to handle a lot of these things, and he was able to keep that kind of consistency with the club. So that's why it's important that what Wenger did was very important for the club. But unfortunately, since he left, kind of it just opened up all those can of worms sort of, and it's just not gone right since then. So sacking the manager, it's very easy. Tomorrow you sack the manager, you get a bounce. But these problems are the problems that need to be rectified, right? You'll probably get a new manager. There'll be a few things, and there'll be probably be a bounce. But then these problems will start to creep back in. So you got to trust your manager, and you got to give him that full backing. And that's what I want to do. I want to trust Arteta. I want to give him the full backing. I want him to get rid of 50% of this squad. I want him to bring in his players, and I want to give him a season. After that, if I still see some kind of issues, then if I still see some kind of issues, then of course the manager is at fault. I'm not taking criticism away from him. I know that the style of play has been poor. I know that there's been issues in just fundamental issues in kind of structure of the club. There's been problems with scoring goals and stuff like that. But I just feel that that's not necessarily only him. He's probably coaching them very well. They are not performing, and they are not bringing out the execution on the field. So it's the players, it's the staff, it's Arteta too. I'm not saying that he's completely not at fault at all, but it's Arteta. It's a mix of a lot of things, and that's the fundamental issues. So unless you can't fix the fundamental issues, there's going to be a lot of problems with this club, and it's going to continue to persist.
But
that's the unfortunate thing.
I mean, I agree with that. I think there's so many problems. It's not just the manager. We saw that with Emery as well. Like we thought after he goes, Arteta will come and he'll change everything. But the same problem was with Emery. So it might not have been only Emery's fault, and it's probably not only Arteta's fault. And same with Wenger. But I have a question with Arteta. He actually got back though. I think he got back more than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't want to make the comparisons because we're talking about Arsenal right now. But he got back this summer. Like he got Thomas Partey. Yes, he didn't get Orar. He needed a creative midfielder, but he had Ozil in the wings. The way he handled that situation, okay, that's completely a different story. But he did get back. Like he got Gabriel, he got some players. I'm not saying that he got back to win the league, but this squad is better than last year's squad. So there is an improvement. So with that improvement and the strengthening of the squad, you expect a better kind of position than you are right now, don't you think?
So I'd agree. I'd agree that he should have done a little bit better. That's why I'm giving him some criticism. He is an inexperienced manager. He isn't able to really create those issues. But you have to understand that Thomas Partey has probably played like 2 full games for Arsenal still. He hasn't been able to play. Gabriel has been the signing of the season for Arsenal, at least. He's been absolutely incredible. But a lot of the other players have been very poor. The likes of unfortunately, Bellerin or Xhaka or David Luiz has been okay.
Why is he playing like Bellerin consistently when he has someone like Maitland-Niles? I was shocked. Maitland-Niles, I think it was the Everton game. He played amazing, man. Like, why is he play? Yeah. Why does he continue to play that? And then Willian, just because I think it's because it's his signing, he keeps continuing to play him. There is something there as well, like tactically.
Those are the kind of criticism I have to give him. I think that tactically he is making some errors. I think he wants to back these players. He wants to give them a chance, but they are underperforming. And that's where I will criticize him. I will be like, you know what? It's not working out with these guys. Just bench them and get some of the younger lads in. And that's the only way you're gonna go forward. Unfortunately, that's the one thing that he's not doing, which is surprising. And that's why he's getting a little bit of these issues in terms of these red cards for Xhaka and then Gabriel and then Pepe and Bellerin has been poor. Maitland-Niles has been a little bit like, he doesn't want to play at right back. He wants to play in the center midfield. So there's those issues that he has to deal with as well. Cedric is a little slow. He can't play week in, week out. So that's an issue as well. But I think that's kind of where he's at. Bellerin is probably your only right back that you kind of have to back. The likes of Xhaka is probably your only midfielder in terms of trying to cut play, but Elneni's been doing well as well. So there's these kind of issues, and then there's hardly any service because of lack of creativity. Ozil stood up for human rights and he got dished, and now Arsenal Football Club is facing a crisis which needs Ozil significantly. So hopefully that changes in Jan. We'll have to wait and see if that does happen or no. But yes, there is some criticism he has to take. He has to drop players. He has to be a little bit more ruthless.
Even the red cards, sorry to cut you off, but even the red cards, that's somewhere down to the manager, because it's not just one guy who's getting the red cards. It's like the different types of players. There's Pepe, there is Xhaka, there is Gabriel. So there has to be something. I don't know. I just feel that he doesn't have total control in the dressing room.
That's a possibility. There are rumors about people kind of talking behind his back and stuff like that. So if he's losing the dressing room, that's going to be a problem. But I just feel like this is stupid. You just like something like Pepe did. He headbutt someone. It's not acceptable, irrespective of whatever it
Yeah.
is. And Xhaka holding someone's neck, that is absolutely unacceptable. Just these things. You I mean, how is Arteta going to kind of come out and stop that kind of stuff, right? It's almost unacceptable, and the players have to take responsibility. It's just unfortunate that the players are underperforming. The manager has to be a little bit more ruthless. The backroom staff has to significantly improve, and the owners have to just take some initiative and try and kind of help these guys out, because you can't just completely be like these faraway managers. Sorry, you can't be these faraway owners that take no responsibility. They need to step up. They need to come and make some kind of statements backing the manager or something like that. Just kind of cool the fan base down. Be like, you know what, this is the plan. This is what we're thinking about. This is kind of how we're gonna go. If you're just gonna be silent about it, it's not gonna help. And
But do you
that's been
think
the problem with
do you
throwing
think
this for a
cool?
long time.
Yeah, sorry about that. But do you think cooling the situation down and cooling the fan base down, the easiest option is to sack the manager?
It probably is, and unfortunately it is, and that maybe that'll happen. I just still don't think that that's the answer, because we're going to go back to square one again. Now Arteta knows what's up, right? Hopefully he can fix it. Maybe he can't. We don't know that. But maybe he now knows everything. The new manager is going to come in, and then he's going to start figuring out. He's going to start employing his kind of tactics, and maybe you'll see like a half a season left. Maybe you'll see a few games win, and maybe you finish in the top half, and maybe, you know what, by some stroke of luck, we'll probably win the FA Cup again, and then the same thing again next year. It's going to be the same problem again. So
Yeah.
that's where the fundamental issue is, right over there. So that's the problem.
So the FA Cup, in hindsight, like I think we already discussed this like before privately,
Absolutely.
but the FA Cup was like a false, not a false hope, but it was papering over the cracks. I think you mentioned this as well. So
Yeah.
that win, in hindsight, like if you didn't win the FA Cup, I think there would have been more desperation in the market. You might have got a more creative player, like even Arar most probably would have come. But the fact that they won the FA Cup, you got one or two signings. They probably got confident, and they're like, yeah, we can go for top four.
I agree. I think that's in hindsight. If you think about it, maybe we shouldn't have won the FA Cup. We wouldn't have had to play the Europa. Maybe we'd probably have a little bit of a different way to kind of just handle the Premier League. Maybe we'd be better off. But we've been doing very well in the Europa. If people forget that we were won 6 out of 6. Yes, the teams are poor teams comparatively, but we won 6 out of 6. That's something that we can take some kind of encouragement from, right? So. Yeah, of course, in hindsight, it would have been nice that maybe we lost out on Europa, and maybe we would have been able to bring. You don't know if we would probably be able to bring Thomas Partey in then. We don't know if Aubameyang would have wanted to sign because he's not playing in Europe, because that's probably one of the chances we have to make Champions League next year. So there's like a lot of things that we can, of course, talk in hindsight. But yeah, it does paper over a crack, because winning a cup makes things a lot easier and makes things a lot rosy in terms of manager in the first season wins you a cup, and this is kind of after a poor run from Emery, and this is just absolutely what all the fan base needed. And now we've had 6 weeks of poor games, and now everyone's turning on Arteta as well. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be turning on Arteta. Everyone has their opinion, of course. I think that that's not the answer to all the problems that are going on in Arsenal. There's a lot more. It's very deep rooted, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's obviously going to take months and months, even maybe years, of trying to figure out and trying to fix these issues. Sven Milsand has been one of the best recruiters out there. He goes to Stuttgart, he makes that team look absolutely incredible. So when he comes in over here, he realizes there's issues. There's been backroom changes all throughout the past 2-3 years. There was Gazidis, who's actually, I'm shocked. I used to hate Gazidis with a passion, but he's doing okay at Milan. He's not doing badly over there. AC Milan's doing okay over there. There's those issues. These guys have come and gone. There's been a lot of problems, and I think Wenger was taping over a lot of the issues, and hats off to the man. I mean, he's done a decent job when he was manager in his last few years. Of course, he significantly faded off as well, but that's obviously because it wasn't completely in his control as well. There was a lot of issues that were going on at the back room as well. So there's the problems that started for a few years back, and it's just been continuing. So it's going to take a lot of revamping. It's going to take a lot of very, very ruthless decisions to come back to kind of the levels that Arsenal were at, let's say, about 10, 15 years back. It's not like that, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to need some time. Is Arteta the answer? Maybe, maybe not. But we're going to have to choose one person and stick by him. That's going to be the problem. And we have to give him a 3 to 5 year project. We're going to have to write off a couple of seasons, gonna get our act together. It's just not the manager. It's a lot more things. You're gonna have to sack. You're gonna have to sack at least 50% of the squad and bring in new
For that,
players.
you need the manager to get back for that though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they decide that Arteta is not the one, then they have to decide who's the next one, and then they have to decide and stick by him. Okay, maybe you feel like he's not experienced enough. You probably need someone, but at least 50% of the squad needs to be sacked. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of deadwood. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
there
you
are
have a
players
lot
that
of
are not
players under the Wenger regime are still playing.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the issue. There are players. I don't want to name names because everyone has in their own way tried to do things. There are a lot of players that need to get the sack. They've just become too comfortable. They've been on pretty big wages, and they've been chilling over there and haven't been performing. So these guys have to be. I have to be pulled up. They have to be like, okay, this is your last chance. If you don't perform in the next few games, you're out, and then they just get sold. Jan's going to be an important time for selling these players off. Maybe getting a couple that we can possibly get. Who I don't know. It's going to be very hard now to attract players because everyone's starting to see these issues that are kind of happening at Arsenal Football Club. So it's going to be hard to get players. But you're going to have to trust maybe some of the youngsters and just hope. This season's already gone. There's no scope for us. There's nothing we're going to possibly make out of this season. Just focus on Europa. And just try to get some things. It's just try to get one thing at a time. Try to figure out one thing at a time. Focus on Europa. That's the only thing that we can probably win this year. Probably not even that, because considering we've been so poor, absolutely unacceptable with, the way we've been this past six to 7 weeks. So just one thing after another. As many players as we can get rid of in Jan. If we can't get rid of Jan, get rid of them in the summer. But there's a lot of things that need to change, and the players and the manager needs to be back. If it's not Arteta, get rid of him tomorrow. Get another guy. Back him for 3 years. That's what you kind of need. If you want to stick with Arteta,
but doesn't it become difficult when you're to back that manager, but when the results, because it's a results business at the end of the day, it becomes because it's not just the fans. A lot of people will start questioning and everything just because of the results. So and I think a manager of an Arsenal Football Club, you can't have these kind of results. And I also agree with you. He probably has talent and everything, but I just feel he's not experienced enough. And it's the results which are going to dictate whoever comes in. So
I agree. I agree, but I just don't think that it's just that now I want to back him now because I just think that he knows everything. He's gone through the. Just
to make it clearer for you, it's just from my example, with Ole, my thoughts on Solskjaer and everything. But how does he keep his job? He beats PSG, Leipzig, then he loses to Istanbul, then he gets a point, then he wins 6 games on the trot in the Premier League. So he has a lot of issues there. That team also has a lot of issues. There's a lot of backroom problems as well. But why is he still not getting questioned as much as Arteta right now? It's because of results. That's it. That's the only difference.
I agree 100%. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I just think that I think he's an inexperienced guy, but I think that he has talent. So that's why I want to back him. I just feel like if we keep trying to change things around, maybe you get an experienced guy in whatever you need to do, but I'm just saying, if you decide that Arteta is your guy, then you back him, no questions asked. And that's why I need some of these owners to come out and be like, you know what, we have issues. This is our guy. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna see some improvement in the next 1 or 2 years. That'll come about 80% of the fan base. Right now, it's complete turmoil. It's just completely no one knows what's going on. It's just a lot of uncertainty in terms of we don't know what's up. We don't know if he's gonna be sacked. We just get a different vibe from inside the club saying that he's been getting backed. We get a different vibe from the fan base. There's a lot of issues. There's just a lot of different things that are going on right now, and that's the issue, So that's why I want some of the owners to come out, be like, you know what, this is our guy, this is whatever it is. Or if the decision is that, then just change the manager. This exactly around this time last year we got Arteta in. If that's the decision, you know what? Okay, Arteta is your guy. Just go for Arteta. Or for example, let's say you have another one. There's probably, unfortunately, not a lot of managers out there that are top level that probably are available. Maybe there's a Pochettino. I don't know.
And Allegri as well.
Yeah, so there's probably Pochettino. There's probably the only guy that's a top level guy that's probably out there that's available. There's not a lot of the other guys, so maybe contact him if he's agreeing to come in. Then maybe there's some kind of decision to be made. But I just feel like, yes, he's an experienced, but I think he's gained a lot of experience in these past 6-8 weeks. Yeah. So I think
there's Allegri as well.
Is he available though?
Yeah, he's available. The only problem with him is English, but if he can fix the English, I think he'll be great for Arsenal. And just last year, I mean, last couple of points before we wrap up, we're talking about the managers, right? This time last year as well, Ancelotti was available. Arteta is actually an Everton legend. He's not technically an Arsenal legend, right? Yeah. So it would have made more sense if he went to Everton and it went like that. But he went to Arsenal. So do you think there's also a mistake there? Like, it's not just Arsenal. I think United, Chelsea as well. They get is it to not to pacify the fans, but to get them behind and everything? It's easier to get a former player, you think, because someone like an Ancelotti, I think he would have done a good job at any of these clubs.
I agree. I think so. I think Arteta, the problem is, not necessarily the problem, but the thing was that he was being talked up a lot. He was being a lot of good things
because he's Pep's second man as well, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of internal. Everyone was like, he's going to take over from Pep Guardiola once Pep decides to move on or whatever. There was a lot of talk about him. There was a lot of positivity around him. Unfortunately, that's changed completely now. There's a lot of negativity around him. But that's probably why they went for it. Probably has the good ideas. I still think he's the right man. I still think that he needs to be backed. I think that it's not only his fault that we're in such a desperate situation now, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see him go. It wouldn't be like heartbreaking for me because like you said, it's a result driven profession. You have to provide the results if you want to keep going. Yeah. So that's probably what it is.
And lastly, how many more games? If there's another loss or two losses, realistically, do you see him end of the year, beginning of January?
I think so. I think there's about 4 to 5 games we play in the next 10 games. In the next 10, 12 days, I think we play 4 games in the next 12 days, which is almost 3 games a day or something of the sort. Yeah. So I think it starts from this Saturday, and I think until next Saturday we play 3 games or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, you play around 26th, 29th, and then 2nd or 1st of Jan. So exactly. 3 games in 5 days, 6 days.
Yeah, so I think if these 3 games completely go against us, then there's going to be a lot of questions that will be asked of him. So I think that he probably has 4 or 5 games at most to save his job. I still think he won't get sacked even after that. But realistically, if I was the owner of Arsenal Football Club in this thing, first of all, I wouldn't be so aloof. But if I was the owner of Arsenal Football Club, I would probably have to make that decision next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think just a few more games, and it's I think because the end of December, beginning of January will be a good time, because then a new manager will have enough time to go and buy in the transfer market, right, in January. So you need to look at that as well. And if you're backing him, then back him fully. So I think that sums it up. Thank you so much, man. It was a lot of I wouldn't say fun, but a lot of interesting points. For me, it was it was a really good view from an Arsenal fan, because yes, I love the banter. I'm going to keep annoying you, but at the same time, you want that competition,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also sure you're not going to get relegated. I'm sure you're sure, but at the same time, this is going a bit too far for Arsenal fans. So I just wanted to see your perspective. So I really appreciate you coming on and clearing a lot of things, and wishing you the best, man. I just can't believe that. I just can't believe that you lost all these games and beat United. But
what can I say, man? We don't feel the surprise.
But yeah, thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.